Hello guys, this video is going to be another ghost story, and today I'm going to tell you all about the ghosts of Alton Towers. Alton is a very ancient village in the county of Staffordshire in England, and located near it is Alton Towers, England's most popular theme park. Unbeknown to many though, it is named after the country estate of the Earls of Shrewsbury, and its mansion still stands in the grounds today. Alton Towers is built in an area named Bunbury Hill, and it started out as an Iron Age fort in around 1000 BC. It remained that way until around 700, when the Saxon king Cered of Mercia built a fortress, and right through to the 11th century it had many uses and many owners. After the Norman conquest in 1066, the fortress was turned into a stone castle, and by the 12th century it had been given to Bertrand de Verdun as a reward for his work during the Holy Land Wars. In 1318 the estate passed to Thomas de Furniville when he married Joan de Verdun, but he later died whilst crusading in the Holy Lands in 1348. The castle, however, did remain in his family until 1406, when Sir John Talbot married Maud. For most of his life, Sir John had fought alongside Henry V, and as a reward he was created the first Earl of Shrewsbury in 1442. The Norman castle was destroyed during the English Civil War, and in the 17th century it redeveloped into a hunting lodge known as Alton. The three-storey structure used one of the castle's former towers, and this remains part of the present-day building. The Talbots used Alton as their summer residence, with their main being at Haythrop Park in Oxfordshire. In 1801, Charles, the 15th Earl of Shrewsbury, began to redevelop the hunting lodge into a Gothic-style stately home. As a result, the building doubled in size and the house was renamed Alton Abbey, despite it having no religious connections at all. The lakes and pools seen today were added in around 1814 when Charles and his wife moved into the house. Not only that, he had thousands of trees planted. However, Charles died in 1827, leaving his nephew John to complete the gardens and house. In 1831, after Haythrop burnt down, John and his family moved into Alton permanently. With that, he had the house further extended, and he moved all his rescued possessions into the newly renamed Alton Towers. From 1839 the grounds were open to the public, but following John's death in 1852 a legal battle over the estate began. Alton was briefly inherited by John's cousin Bertram, who died 4 years later aged only 24. As he had no direct heir, he left the estate to a younger son of the Duke of Norfolk, but a distant cousin of Sir John's called Henry Chetwynd Talbot contested the will and won. In 1857 he was created the 18th Earl of Shrewsbury, and in 1859 he finally acquired Alton Towers. However, due to the vast cost proving he was the rightful heir, he had to sell off the house's contents. In 1860 Sir Henry reopened the grounds to the public to raise much needed cash, and his son, the 19th Earl, carried this on. But it was his son Charles, the 20th Earl, that started to develop the estate as a tourist attraction. He would hold summer fetes, firework displays, balloon festivals and exhibitions of torture instruments. Well, literally anything to attract the public in. Money needed. Unfortunately, in 1896 Charles and his wife separated, and he left his wife to live at Alton Towers alone. With that, the house began to decay and the grounds became neglected, And so in 1918 Charles sold off the majority of the estate and the house's possessions again to pay for work to be done. His wife continued to live on the estate for another 2 years following his death in 1921, and then Alton Towers was sold to a group of local businessmen. The main shareholder was a William Bagshaw, and he and the others had the grounds restored and reopened to the public. Parts of the house were also converted into cafes and public toilets. During World War II, Alton Towers was taken over and used as a cadet training centre, and the gardens remained closed to the public until it was returned to the owners in 1952. With no repairs done during this time, the house was basically in a right state, and the whole of the interior had been ripped out. With exception to the armoury and the chapel, the rest of the house had literally been abandoned. And in 1957, a model railway was opened in the chapel entrance to entertain the public. This railway was removed in 1993 when a chapel was restored. After William Bagshaw died, Alton Towers was taken over by his 2 sons, Dennis and Anthony. And in 1973, John Broome married the daughter of Dennis and became involved in the family business. The 1970s was a progressive stage in the development of Alton Towers, when rides were added for the public to enjoy. They also had the floors and the ceilings of the house reinforced to allow public access to them. And in 1980, John Broome turned his site into a leisure park for families. He continued to add more and more exciting rides until Alton Towers was bought by Tussauds in 1990. Ever since then, it has thrived as a theme park and continues to entertain millions of people every year. Alton Towers is said to be a very terrifying place by night, and the mansion epitomises what a haunted house should look like. It is said that on moonless nights, a ghostly man dressed in black can be seen wandering the grounds near the house, and whenever he is approached, he disappears into thin air. In the main area of the house, a large man has been seen in the music room, and he is usually accompanied by footsteps. Music has also been heard coming from this room, but on inspection, no one is ever found there, and no instruments are kept there. Footsteps have also been heard in the banqueting room, as well as a shadowy figure being seen. People have also reported seeing a woman in old-style clothes standing in the doorway, watching them. The most common sighting here is that of a woman in a long, dark dress, usually accompanied by the strong scent of perfume. It is thought that she may have been a previous governess who still thinks she is in charge of the mansion. This ghostly lady has been seen in many different places around the mansion, and people outside the house have reported seeing a woman standing at the window on the landing staring out. Although this doesn't sound too strange, this is usually after the building has been locked up. This lady has also been seen inside the house on the landing standing by the same window, and on one occasion a member of staff, thinking that she was a guest locked in after hours, told her that she wasn't allowed to be there and that she needed to leave. So, with that, in great courtesy, she faded away, much to his fright. The sound of children running and laughing has also been heard on the same landing, but no children are ever seen. Dragging sounds have been heard coming from empty rooms, doors banged shut, and moaning sounds have also been experienced. In 2000, a small part of the house had an extension added to house a new ride called Hex. The story of the ride is connected to a curse tied to the Talbot family. It is said that one dark night in the autumn of 1821, Charles, the 18th Earl of Shrewsbury, was on his way back to the mansion when his coach was stopped by an old beggar woman asking for help. Charles refused, and with that she pointed to an oak tree and told him that for every branch that fell from that tree, a member of his family would die. Some time later, a terrible storm blew up, and strangely enough, a member of his family died suddenly. Charles headed out to that tree to find that a branch had indeed fallen from it, and so determined he was to prevent this from ever happening again that he had the tree chained. For those of you that are interested in visiting this tree, I would just like to point out that it no longer exists on the Alton Towers estate. It still exists today, but it's just not on their land. It's actually on somebody else's private land, so the chances of you ever really seeing it is nil, hence why I had to pinch that picture off the internet. The Hex ride itself is very eerie, and it is located in the old armoury and picture gallery. Upon the walls are suits of armour covered in cloth and wrapped in ropes. People that queue for this ride have reported seeing children in Victorian-style clothes, as well as being hit by stones. And with that, I conclude the Ghosts of Alton Towers. I do hope you have enjoyed it. I will at some point be back with some more ghost stories for you all, but until then, I am gone.